Welcome everyone. It's Being Brown at Work, and I am so excited about this episode because we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about it in a unique way, though. My guest, Jack Howard, is the head of Money Wellness at Ally. And Jack, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
No, I am beyond excited, beyond excited. Money wellness. I mean, usually you don't hear those two words together. So if you could, just help me understand, what does it mean?
Yeah, so when we think of this concept of money wellness, oftentimes for people, when they think of money, they think of math problems. It's a math problem. It's the skills, it's budget, credit,
Exactly.
investing.
The bank account.
And I've had experience in that in my career. But what money wellness is your relationship with money. So despite how much income you have, your net worth, all of those numbers that we kind of anchor ourselves on, your credit score. It's what is your relationship with money? How safe do you feel? So how safe do you feel with meeting your daily obligations and then also having joy with money? So really looking at the security, those experiences, and also looking at through the lens of your well-being through your career, money, your relationships, your physical fitness, your mental fitness, your social relationships. So it's a very holistic approach to money.
Yeah, and I've not really heard it expressed in that manner, which is why this conversation was so exciting for me. Is this something that you've always been passionate about, or is it something that you fell into the hard way, maybe?
No, well, I guess a little bit of both. I've always had a passion for understanding money. So I'm one of those people, graduated from Michigan State University with about $35,000 in debt. So a combination of student loan debt and credit card debt. And at that time, I became very passionate about just improving my financial literacy. So that was, I started a money club with my girlfriends. We were 20, 21 years old talking about money. And that led to an opportunity with my career at Ally. I joined the team there in corporate citizenship, leading our efforts for financial literacy and also corporate giving. And I stayed with that work for about 10 years. Really loved helping people to understand the skills of money that we talked about earlier. Then I was given the opportunity to do a stretch assignment in our invest business. So I was the chief of staff for the president, and then decided to stay out of that stretch role and help launch our wealth advisory business. The really cool thing about the wealth advisory business is that it was anchored in money psychology. And what that means is if you're a client in behavioral finance, so as a client, the goal was, as you know, as your advisor, how do I get you to not do irrational things with your money? So when there's market volatility, when you have shame or fear or anything like that with money, well, that will cause you to not do the things you said you wanted to do for retirement. Understanding a person's why behind money, understanding their values helps. And one of the questions we would ask clients in the consultation journey is, what is your first memory of money? And when I heard that question and we had our advisors use that with clients, it's like the sky opened up.
Exactly. Okay, so hold on one second. I hate to interrupt you, but you're having this kind of experience and conversation with clients in your 20s?
No. So that was
okay, because I'm saying, because when you talk about when you were hanging with your girlfriends at 21 talking about money, I remember I wasn't talking about money.
Yeah, during my 20s, it was very much so me having my own personal journey
there we
of
go.
understanding financial literacy, which led to professional opportunities.
Understood.
So I joined Ally in my 30s.
Got it. Makes sense.
This work in the invest business was pretty recent, within the last 5 years.
So
during that time, I realized the power of money psychology, of money wellness, and I fell in love with it. And went to our leadership and said, I think there's an opportunity for us to offer this to everyone. Because at the time, if you were an invest client, you had to have $100,000 in investable assets, which some people have that, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a whole lot of people
and
don't.
especially when we think of our underserved communities.
absolutely.
Not everybody has $100,000.
No, they don't.
So that led me to my current role, head of money wellness, where we take some of those, understanding of money wellness, of understanding your emotions with money, understanding your money story, understanding your values, and apply that in a program we have called Money Roots. So that's what I've been doing for the last few years, and that's been my journey, and I absolutely love it.
That is fabulous. And now, would you say, Jack, that you would, because you lived it, because you had the challenges that you had, and I'm going to say, look, right here, this girlfriend, I've had him as well, especially being raised by a parent who grew up in the Depression era. My money story, which if we had more time to tell it, I'm sure is definitely connected to how I treated money and thought of money, my money wellness. would you say that because of your lived experiences, that's what maybe even sets you up perfectly for this type of role?
1,000%.
Yeah,
I look
absolutely.
at my role at Ally has definitely been a professional and personal journey.
Yes.
I've been able to humanize banking in a way.
Right.
But on my personal journey, which I'm very vocal about within the company, it's been with debt. It's been with a lot of emotional spending.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until I did that work of understanding what is your money story. So mine is deeply rooted in my mother passed suddenly when I was 12. My father got this large amount of money from her death benefits.
Yeah.
And we went shopping.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we went shopping.
Yeah.
So we went through not talking about my mother to instead you go buy something.
Go buy.
And what that taught me about money is that when you feel sad on the inside, as long as I show up looking good with my hair done and the right outfit, none of it matters.
Exactly.
But what happens when you spend money and give it to, a 12-year-old kid, you run out of it. So we ran out of the money fairly quickly. And then I got my first job. And that first job was at McDonald's. And that's when I learned money is power. Because it taught me that as long as I work, as long as I have income, I have the power to create money. I'll never go without it. And then we enter college, which got into that $35,000 in debt with credit cards. So then I got on this hamster wheel of you make money, you create debt, you pay it off. Yeah. You make money, you create debt, you pay it off. And it was a cycle. It's been a cycle I've been on for 20 years.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until I understood my money story to say, why are you buying that? Like, what's the real why under it? Is it 12-year-old Jacqueline showing up because spending makes her feel good?
Right.
Or is it because it's a part of my values and that I am an authentic person who loves really beautiful things?
Got it.
Is this a beauty thing or is this an emotional spending thing?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was able to do that personally that I was able to, really get out of debt and stay out of debt. Because I paid off a credit card so many times, you won't even believe it. But really get to the root of it.
I wish I could say I paid it off many times. Look, can I run it up? Do I always pay it off?
Yes,
I don't
teach you how to pay off a credit card with the avalanche method.
Oh, okay.
The snowball.
We'll talk about that in some detail after this.
I paid off debt.
So let's talk about this. So, and you mentioned the underserved communities, right? And those communities, 9 times out of 10, when you're talking about money, it's a whole different conversation. I mean, to the money story for that community, right? How do you what would you say would be the tipping point or the switching point to get the message to that community such that they can start shifting their mindset around money?
Well, I think it's platforms like this and what we're doing with the Money Roots class. A lot of that work is awareness.
Okay.
And also you may need financial therapy. So my goal is to bring awareness that money wellness is a thing. Money psychology is a thing. Your relationship with money is less about you being bad with money and more about having clarity about what you will and will not spend on. So helping people to understand, to even think about those things is the first step. Yeah. And then once you have that awareness, you can do a deeper dive into, actually, do I need a financial therapist? Do I need to hire a certified financial planner? Do I need to work with an accredited financial counselor? You could work on the next thing. But first, we have to have the awareness of, for a lot of people, it's more than just skills. It's
very
something under it. It's emotional.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I often say, even working with clients and when I'm speaking with who you are personally is who you are professionally. And you just said that. It's that underlining piece as to your money story. What is your why? I mean, why do you make these decisions that you make around money? And they have something to do with either how you were raised or your experiences or, like you said, an unfortunate loss of your mom and those types of things. And that's, for me, when you can connect those two, understanding it's nothing separate. You are one individual. So everything in your life has a connection. And if you can connect those two, it's so, so powerful. So, if we dive into this a little bit deeper, Jack, so you mentioned Money Roots. You just threw it out there. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So it is a free money wellness program created by Ally about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Under the leadership of my leadership and a great team there. But we have 4 different workshops. The first one is Money and You, where we look at your mindset around money. So for a lot of people, especially in this current climate, things I'm hearing in the workshops, I have money anxiety, I have fear about a layoff, I have fear about AI, taking my job.
Right.
So in that class, and when you have fear or it's shame, I have shame that I'm a certain age and I should be
X.
more
Yes.
established.
Yes.
And typically when you have a negative perception around money, it leads you to either avoidance or you're paralyzed, which means you don't do anything.
Wow.
So the goal of that class is, if you are leaning more negative, is to help you to get to a more positive perspective. Really rewire your thinking, your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Really getting those thoughts and emotions to something better so that you have better behaviors to get to action. So that is our first one. The second one is money story, where we're looking at your past. So what did your parents teach you about money? Your caregivers, the beliefs that you have. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is equal. All those things, right? We got McDonald's, right? All those things you heard growing up are showing up consciously or subconsciously for you with money right now. So that's the second class. The third one is money and values, which is one of my favorites. It's more forward looking. When you think about the relationship with money you want to have moving forward, and how do you have the highest return on joy for your money? That's by being very aligned with your values and using money as a tool to support your values and to support your well-being. So in that class, we really go deep into what are your values, and then what are your goals? How do we support it with money? And then the fourth one is probably the spiciest. It's called love and money. And we look at your romantic partnership through the lens of your money story, your partner, the emotions and beliefs of you and your partner, the values of you and your partner. And then we also add in, because oftentimes opposites attract.
Yes, they do.
So when that happens, how do we navigate tough money conversations? So that's the fourth class. And they're each about an hour long. Again, it's to give the awareness. Let's think about why we're doing these things, and do we need more help?
I love that. This 64-year-old wish I knew. Serious. 30 years ago, even 20 years ago would have made a difference. That is so this money route, you said it's free.
It's completely free.
Completely free, 4 classes, an hour each. So they can sign up through Ally.
You can go to ally.com/money.
Oh my gosh.
Sign up right now. We're teaching them over Zoom. And so I'm teaching them. So you can work with me and or some of my colleagues. And it's an intimate group. We try not to have more than 50 people. Even smaller than that is better, because with this money wellness conversation, what I find is that for a lot of people, when I ask that question, what is your first memory of money? Different things come up for different people. For me, it's spending time with I have a twin brother, my mother, going to the credit union and getting $100 out. And then we would go have a day of fun. And then when she passed, that changed for me. So for everybody, it can bring up feelings of joy or sadness.
Yes.
So being in a space where it's kind of intimate, where we can support all emotions, and realizing that we also want people to show up in a vulnerable way. That's the goal for the class.
Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. So if you had an opportunity, especially, you don't have people signing up, let's say hypothetically, and you're really trying to get people to start to think differently, what would you recommend to some people that are listening to us right now? What are the first steps that they might, first of all, I think you said awareness, right? Is there something that they can start working on now to see, okay, do I have a money issue? Is what Jack and Linda's talking about, is that something that's my problem? Is this money wellness a situation for me? And if it is, what do I do first? How do I get started? Because I think you said a lot of things that are so powerful. I mean, financial therapy, how it affects us, both our well-being and how we can live and love and enjoy our lives. But people seem to get paralyzed. The shame piece you said earlier really comes in, and it'll stop them from making even the first move. So what would you recommend to someone that is hearing this conversation, but they're still like, one, I don't know that that's me. And then two, if it is, what do I do with that?
So I think the first step is just the assessment of your emotions. And we rarely tie money and emotions.
We never do.
Right?
We never do.
Literally in our class, we have an emotion wheel where we have people look at the emotion wheel and say, how are you feeling about money right now? So I think that's a first step. And it'll say a lot about your relationship with money. I've heard everything from shame to joy to hopeful, So let's lock in on where your emotions are. And then when we think of an immediate action for spending, saving, giving, I want people to just slow down. And let's be present in the decisions that we're making. And being mindful to those two things that I mentioned earlier, your money story and your money values. When you're making those spending, saving, and giving decisions, is it showing up? Is that money story, negative parts of your negative story showing up? And then your values, are they represented? oftentimes when I work with people, you tend to see a range of hyper savers and hyper consumers.
Yes.
And one isn't bad, one isn't good, right? I want you to be in the middle. But when you're a hyper saver, that's the person who is afraid to splurge on anything. So money isn't used as a tool for joy. When you're a hyper spender, you're spending on everything.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, wherever you land there, let's just take a beat and breathe and really understand, am I using money as a tool for me? Am I using money as a tool to increase my well-being?
Right.
And then once you're able to just pause and do that, your decisions become so much clearer because now you have the power to use money as a tool. It takes a lot of that emotion out of it, the shame and all those things, because you understand that this is a tool for my well-being.
Got it. Would you say that to the same person, though, that, I mean, we know what's going on out here in the market. Would you still take that approach to those people who are like, hey, I don't know if I'm the next one being tapped on the shoulder? Already 300,000 Black women have been separated and lost their job. Those individuals that are sitting every day, either going in or sitting in front of that laptop, and they're on edge, and they're thinking, look, whatever Jack and Linda's talking about right now is fine, but I need to try to keep that paycheck coming. What would you say to that? Because it's a lot that's going on. And you even mentioned AI, right? So how would you address those individuals? And we shared for the underrepresented, but how would you mention those individuals? Well, because it's real out here.
I think it's the same thing. I think the same thing can be applied that I mentioned with money to your career of let's take a moment and assess our emotions. Because what you said is that, and I've heard this in classes, I'm fearful. Those are all emotions of fear. Uncertainty. And what I want you to do is shift your mindset. So I want you to shift from uncertainty and fear to, I realize if I were working with a person.
Right.
I realize that currently my job may be unstable. However, I'm building the skills and opportunities to ensure that I'm fine. Right.
There we go.
So now when we shifted to, I might lose my job, my job, to I realize the world is unstable, and I cannot control that.
There we are.
But what I can control is the action I want you to get to by naming those emotions, by really thinking of the thoughts that are processing, making that shift. Now we're shifting to a behavior of, I'm going to sign up for that class. I'm going to start that business. I'm going to buy that property to ensure that I have multiple streams of income. That's the goal with money. And I think it should also be applied to your career, because when you are in fear, you are paralyzed. So we want you to get from being in fear and paralyzed to a place of, I understand my thoughts, I understand my emotions, and now I can move to a different action.
I love it. See, I knew when we met.
I know, right?
I knew this was going to be everything. I knew it was going to be everything. Well, I appreciate you so much. We talked on the phone, and we might have to do a part two.
We might have to do
We might have to do a part two.
I have so much hope of this,
for real.
Of money and their employment.
Exactly. So definitely. Do I. Thank you so much. It was an honor and a joy. I appreciate you. Thank you.
We got to do this again.
Yeah, we do. For sure.